Hello, flamingos, and welcome to Disrupting Obesity. I'm Charlotte Skanes, and I lost over 200 pounds without surgery, without fads, and without hating myself through the process. I'm here to help you unlearn what the diet industry has been feeding you and to talk about what it actually takes to lose weight and keep it off. I want to help you make real mindset shifts and start to build trust with yourself again, all while giving you the tools that you'll need to do it, but without losing yourself or your mind in the process. It might be Monday, but we're not starting over. So brace yourself, Gladys, and let's get into it. Hello, flamingos. Happy Monday. Welcome to episode 113. Today, we are diving back into the 101 Weight Loss Truth series. This is number 13 in this series, and I am really excited. As I mentioned last week, we've got a couple of different cluster questions today where they're interrelated, so I want to make sure that we get to all of those. So we're just going to jump right in. Number 77 is that you have to change the way that you talk to yourself about food. Now, this one's similar to truth number 66, that cheat days are a bad idea. And that one is about cheat days. But I want to unpack that a little bit because that's what brings us to number 77. The language that we use when we're talking to ourselves about food matters. If you're calling food a treat, I think you guys have heard me say this before. Treats are for kids and pets that behave themselves. You are neither one of those things. It's the language of deserving. I don't like that because there's always a flip side to that. If you deserve a treat now, that means there are times when you don't. That means there are times when you feel like you're not worthy of food. And I'm sorry, but we are all worthy of food. We all have the right to eat. So I don't like any of that language. And now that's a pretty extreme example. But if we bring that back just a little bit, there is an inherent danger in thinking of foods as treats and setting certain foods up on a pedestal. And those are foods that you can only have when ... happens. That's a very dangerous line of thinking when you're trying to change your relationship with food. It's those types of statements to yourself about the food that you're eating that have helped to get you into this situation and that have helped to perpetuate this situation. Language matters. And if you're telling yourself, oh, this is a good choice, this is a bad choice, what are you also saying about yourself? Because inherently you are saying something about yourself. If what's sitting in front of you is a bunch of food that you have declared it's bad food, okay, well, what about the person who chose that food? Because you're the person who chose that food. So if you're sitting there saying, I'm eating a bunch of junk, this is just garbage, this is so bad. Okay, what are you saying about the person who made that choice? I think we both know what you're saying about the person who made that choice, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. That loaded language. Are you projecting the way that you feel about yourself onto the food that you're eating? Because from where I'm sitting right now in the context of this conversation, it kind of looks like, yeah, maybe you might be. Part of the reason that I harp on this one is because of number 78. You have to change the way that you think about food. You're not going to be able to do that unless you start changing the way that you talk to yourself about food too. These two things have to work hand in glove. You need them both. And changing the way that you think about food is all of that stuff we were just talking about, because the language still matters, even if they aren't words coming out of your mouth. They're just thoughts that are floating through your head. What are you telling yourself about the choices that you're making? What are you telling yourself about the foods that you're eating and about the type of person who makes those food choices? What does your thought process look like around this? Because I'm willing to bet that it's probably a little bit skewed, and I don't think it's going to be skewed in your favor. It's going to be skewed in such a way that it makes it easier for you to stay caught in these negative patterns and these negative cycles. And how you think about the food you're eating obviously matters, because that's what's dictating the choices that you're making. So we need to really take a look at that process. What does that look like for you? What are you telling yourself about the food that you're eating? What do you think about the food that you're eating and the choices that you're making. Because you can't change what you can't see. And that applies to these patterns of thought and patterns of speech as well. Have you paid attention to the way that you talk to yourself about food? Have you paid attention to the way that you think about food before you eat it, while you're eating it? What does the dialogue look like after you eat it? Because I know shit could get pretty nasty around my head after I'd gone on a little bender. It was very hard for me not to take down an entire, pizza and wings and garlic bread and all that stuff and not have a dialogue with myself about the type of person that I was or the type of choices that I just made, which, I mean, we've talked about the guilt and shame spiral, right? Like it's a very real problem. And a lot of us get caught up in it. Learning how to stop that spiral can be the hard part. And you can't stop it. You can't interrupt that pattern or disrupt that pattern until you're aware of what the pattern actually looks like. That's why I'm urging you to please take a look at the language that you're using about the food that you're eating. What are you telling yourself about that food? Is it a good food? Is it a bad food? Is it a food that conjures up a whole bunch of childhood memories? What's going on? And yeah, a lot of the time we just eat food because we like it. We eat it because it's there. We eat it because it tastes good and it feels good and it's super satisfying. All of those are very valid reasons too. But I would much rather you were having that kind of a dialogue with yourself than the one where it looks more like, oh my God, I can't believe I just ate this pizza. I shouldn't be eating pizza. Pizza's a bad food. It's full of carbs. It's full of fat. It's full of whatever that narrative looks like. Isn't it better to have a conversation with yourself where you're like, yeah, I had some pizza. I really like pizza. Pizza's good. Okay. I don't care what Gladys says. I don't care what anybody's opinion is about the food. The only one that matters is yours. But you need to decide if that opinion that you have about that food, what is it based on? And is it based in reality? Or is it just based in somebody's idea of what a good diet looks like? Because we've talked about this before. Remember the bug thing? Billions of people all around the world right now are eating bugs as a very valid form of protein. And you know what? I'll bet it's delicious. But I'm North American and I wasn't raised eating bugs. Bugs were othered where I grew up. It wasn't something that people partook in. They've been trying to get crickets and, cricket powder and stuff going for a very long time up here. It's been on like the Shark Tank and the Dragon's Den and all those shows. But there is sort of a Western aversion to eating insects as protein. There's nothing wrong with them. But my culture says they are a bad, quote unquote, bad food. No, they're just food. They're just food. There's got to be thousands, tens of thousands of different cultural rules and standards about what are good foods and what are bad foods, what are good food combinations and what are bad food combinations, what's allowed, what isn't allowed. There are religions that dictate these types of food conversations. There are cultural ones like the bug thing. There's a lot at play here. What I want you to be interested in is what does that look like just for you? What are you telling yourself? What are you thinking about when it comes to the food? Because you really can't change what you can't see. You definitely can't change what you refuse to look at. And you're not going to get to the bottom of any of these issues unless you're willing to take a look. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight. This is like pretty much everything else with me. It's going to happen in a small incremental way. And that's the way you want it to change. Because especially when it comes to thoughts, language, speech, trying to make just a full reversal is a very difficult thing to do. It's very hard to go from black to white. It's very hard to take somebody from pizza is the root of all evil to pizza's wonderful. I'm not even shooting for pizza's wonderful. I'm shooting for pizza neutrality. That's kind of what I'm going for here. I'm not even shooting for pizza is good. I'm just looking for pizza neutrality. I would be perfectly happy with that. Let's just try to make the language neutral so that we're not imposing and putting other baggage on top of food. It is just a slice of pizza, right? Now, the fact that it unlocks a series of childhood memories for you and, triggers a bunch of happy feelings and happy hormones and all that shit that goes on in your brain, notwithstanding, it's still just a slice of pizza. It's a bread product with, some sauce and some cheese and some toppings on it. That's all it is. It's certainly not the root of all evil, and you're definitely not evil for wanting to eat it. Definitely don't try to take yourself from one extreme to the other. Just keep slowly moving yourself towards neutral. And when you catch yourself having those thoughts or saying those things, oh my God, I'm cheating today, just catch yourself. And and then dismiss it. And then just dismiss it. No, I'm not. I'm not cheating. I'm just having a piece of pizza. I'm just having a Mars bar. I just made myself a peanut butter and banana sandwich. It's not cheating. Because as we were talking about with number 66, that brings with it all of those connotations of being negative, which can turn into a permission slip to do more eating, right? Because you've made yourself feel bad about yourself for the choice that you made, and bad eating just leads to worse eating and guilt and shame spiral. Here we go. What are you telling yourself? What does that look like? When you're headed to the fridge, when you're at the grocery store, when you're sitting in front of your plate, what does that look like? And what if you tried just to bring it from a negative to a neutral? And the same on the other side of this equation. If you've got pedestal foods in your head that are like the be all and the end all, and it's just so emotionally satisfying and rewarding. Okay, great. Well, it really is just a trifle. That's all. It's a beautiful trifle. We all like trifle, but it's just a trifle. So why are we giving it all of this extra power? And sometimes we do that, and we deliberately use that type of language because it is a form of self-sabotage. Because if you sit there telling yourself that you're cheating and you're eating all these bad foods, and, or conversely, you're rewarding yourself. So you're letting yourself have as much trifle as you want today because you're celebrating, or whatever that language looks like. I think you can see how dangerous that is. And that's why I keep pushing for neutrality. The problem-solving trifle isn't actually a problem-solving trifle. That's the power that you have given to the trifle. And you could take that power and ascribe it to something else. You could give that power to split pea soup if you wanted. You could give it to a bag of trail mix. It really doesn't matter because everybody has different foods that have that power for them. So if you strip that language away, all we're left with is a bowl of trifle. And it's lovely. We've established that trifle's just fine. But do we need to have all of the rest of the back conversation that goes with it? And sometimes you do. And I'm asking you to just please be aware of all of that back stuff, all the things that are happening under the surface when it comes to the language that you're using about the food that you're eating. I just would really like you to take maybe more than a casual glance at it. Our next two truths are connected too. I will start by doing them separately, and we will see where we go. Number 79, weigh yourself once a week. Once a week, just once a week, please. Anything more than that, and you are going to make yourself completely insane. Anything less than that, and you're not going to have the control that you need. You just aren't. You need to be able to see the patterns. And once every 7 days is where it's at. You know what? I lied. Number 80, do it on a Wednesday. We might as well talk about them all together. So you want to weigh yourself once a week, and you want to do it on a Wednesday. I have worked with people who believed that all data was good. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, except for when it comes to the scale. And in this case, I disagree because it is so harmful. I have seen firsthand again and again and again just how harmful scale obsession can be. And as you guys know, I had a problem with the scale my first time around. I could not stay off it. And I was making myself completely insane. So I picked up my scale. I drove it over to my mother-in-law's house because we were there pretty much every single Sunday for dinner. And I made it a point that I was only going to weigh myself on Sundays. Couldn't even keep a scale in the house. If that's you, get rid of it. Do the same thing that I did. Put the scale in the trunk of your car. Whatever you need to do to stop yourself from getting on it every day. And also, please, if you're one of those people who are weighing yourself multiple times a day, like my data collecting friend that I mentioned just a moment ago, please don't do that. You really are doing yourself some damage, and you're doing a real disservice to your journey. Your weight is going to fluctuate. Now, if anyone has gotten on the scale multiple times in a day, you will have seen that your scale will go up and down over the course of a day. If it can fluctuate over the course of one day, imagine what it's doing over the course of 7 days. We're going to pick one day of the week, and it's going to be Wednesday, and we're going to stick with that day. Ideally, we're going to do it at the same time every day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be first thing in the morning. It doesn't have to be last thing before you go to bed. Just pick a consistent time. My time was Sunday afternoons before dinner. And since I was an intermittent faster who didn't break their fast until dinner, my weight wasn't impacted by, what I'd eaten that day, for example. And it was always at a consistent time. I wasn't weighing myself first thing in the morning and then at noon and then at 5 p.m. It was fairly consistent, one time a week. When you have too much information, when, you got on the scale on Monday and you were down a half a pound, but then you got on the scale on Tuesday and you were up a pound and a half. And then on Wednesday, you were down a half a pound from the pound and a half that you'd gained. So it's too much. It's too much. And all of that psychological stress and emotional distress that you're causing yourself because the scale is just like a yo-yo, up, down, up, down, up, down, that can all be avoided. Some people, maybe me, might argue that weighing yourself every day is a form of self-sabotage because you know that your whole mood for the day is going to hinge on what that scale says when you get on it, which is a conversation for a whole other time. We have all kind of been conditioned to equate our worth to what we see on the scale. That's not what this is about. Well, it's not great, but we're not going to talk about that today. My issue is you get on the scale. It was down yesterday. It's up today. Yesterday was a good day. And now today's a bad day. And now you're not feeling great about yourself. When the reality is you did not gain a pound and a half overnight. You didn't. You didn't. It's not possible. In order to have done that, you would have had to eat, what is it, like 4,250 calories, something like that. Like, it's a lot. A pound of fat is 3,500 calories. And I don't mean you had to have a 3,500 calorie day. I mean, you had to eat 3,500 calories above and beyond your TDEE. So when I was at my heaviest, that would mean that I would have had to have a 7,000 calorie day because my TDEE was 3,500 calories. I'm betting that you did not have 7,000 calories yesterday. You did not gain a pound and a half overnight. You didn't gain 5 pounds this past weekend. It's the spikes, the up and down. How much salt did you have? How much water did you drink? Have you moved your bowels? When's your period coming? There are a lot of factors here. And the on-off game with the scale is just going to make you nuts, which is going to make you discouraged and frustrated. And we both know that being discouraged and being frustrated when you're actively trying to lose weight makes you want to quit because it's not working. So why should I bother? You should bother because we're going to wait for Wednesday. Wednesday is the day. And here's why. There are a few reasons. I know that I've talked about this one before, but we're going to cover it again, if only quickly, because I think it's a message that bears repeating. Monday is too loaded. Everybody has hinged all of their hopes on Monday for years. It's a lot of pressure. Poor little Monday. I almost feel sad for it. Everybody's starting again on Monday. Everybody's getting weighed on Monday. It never bloody ends for that poor day of the week. And mentally, all of us view that too. It's always, I'm going to start again on Monday. I'm going to weigh myself in on Monday. No. Poor little Monday. Let's give Monday a break. Now, Wednesday, on the other hand, okay, sure, we called it hump day for a while there because, it's right in the middle of the week and you got to get over the hump. But why not Wednesday? Let me tell you why. A few reasons. And we've just talked about the mindset component, which, that one always kind of takes the cake for me. But there is a very concrete reason for this as well. Most of us, if we're going to indulge over the course of the week, most of us do it on the weekend. And indulgence for a lot of us looks like extra sodium. And extra sodium looks like water retention. And water retention looks like a scale that has a number that isn't accurate. That's what the scale is reporting because that's what you weigh because your body has had to send water molecules to latch onto all of that sodium. And then they have to send it to your kidneys. And then your kidneys have to pee it out. And everybody thinks, I should not drink water to help me not retain water. No, if you want to not retain water, you need to drink more water. It's incredibly counterintuitive, but it's still the truth. So we're rolling on Wednesday because of that whole mindset thing and because salt. That's all. Wednesday. And it's a nice little break midweek. Plus, you're not setting yourself up for a whole week of feeling bad about yourself and, oh God, I have to wait until next Monday. And now Monday just gets built up even more and more in our minds when it's already this big Monday mountain thing going on. No, we're going to let Monday completely off the hook. We're going to wait, ideally until Wednesday morning. Morning weigh-ins are typically a little better, but any time of day will do. Just keep it consistent and keep it on a Wednesday. Next week, we're coming back and we're going to start into the 80s. We're almost there. We are totally getting there. Our first two next week are interconnected. They're locked. And then we've got a few more that I want to get through. They're a little heavier. So I'm going to do my absolute best to move through them as quickly as I can so that you guys get all the nitty gritty here. But I hope you have an absolutely amazing week, and I will see you next Monday. Thank you for listening, and thank you for doing the work. This isn't easy, but you're still here, and that counts. It matters. You're showing up. If you've subscribed, shared, or left a review, thank you. It really does help more than you know, and it also makes it easier for other women to find this podcast so they feel a little less alone on their journey. If you want more support, resources, or info on the program or the membership, check out disruptingobesity.com or come see what I'm up to over on Instagram. You know where to find me. Come tell me how I can be helpful. And in the meantime, keep trying, keep tracking, don't be intimidated, and don't give up. You've totally got this.